The Pope believes we should either burn him or make him Bishop of Kingsbridge.
I have already taken matters into my own hands. My men arrested him while Kingsbridge was left unguarded.
While his friends took Earl's Castle.
Yes.
At least in his death, William Hamley was of use to you.
Madre mía. Los de la iglesia, colega. Capítulo 20. Fin. ¿What? Ah, vale. Shiring, el día del juicio. Pensaba que fin, decía, ya se acabó, ya todo.
Seems like they're enjoying themselves.
They never change. You drooling dogs should be ashamed.
Shut up, you old hag.
Ellen? I'm not feeling well.
I'll stay with you. Go ahead. We'll come after you. Quick! You can't be too late.
Is your mother ill?
It's not that. This is where they hanged my father.
¿Van a ahorcar a Philip? Mira, aliena.
The trial begins. The judges. Brother of Stephen, King of the English. The Right Reverend Bishop Henry of Winchester. Her Highness, the Countess Lady Aliena of Shiring. Presiding over the trial, the Right Reverend Bishop of Shiring and Kingsbridge, Waileron Bygod.
Please. The church is not without fault.
¿Todo esto es por el libro que ha escrito Philip?
We have gathered here today before the eyes of God to accuse one of our own. He wrote in his book that the church and the papacy are not necessary as intercessors between God and man. That God is in man, that all men are equal, and that each sinner is as close to our Lord
Los subtítulos se han quedado estancados.
Now, we ask God for his judgment. For his is the kingdom, the power, and the glory. Not ours, and not yours. You stand accused of heresy. Philip of Gwynedd, how do you plead?
Me declaro inocente.
Answer!
No.
I am not
Vale.
guilty.
Your teachings speak another language. Guilty, I say.
I am deeply saddened. It may come as a surprise to you, but we had hoped to make you Bishop of Kingsbridge. Why has it come to this, Philip?
In part, I am to blame. I supported Philip in his early years. I demand that Philip be removed from his position of prior immediately.
No.
And that he remain in captivity until such time that Shiring and all of England have healed from the poisonous words he has dispersed.
No!
What?
Acusar a Valerian. Sí, acúsalo directamente.
You are accusing Philip because he has defied you.
I made him prior, and grateful he was not. But no, I accuse him because his teachings are false. And I intend to prove that Philip's decisions have been more than misguided in the past. Call in Remigius.
The Prior of Shiring, Father Remigius.
My bishop,
Tell the court, Remigius, what you have told me.
For many years, I served as sub-prior of Kingsbridge. First for Prior James, then for the accused.
What was your first impression of him?
I was offended by his bluntness and accusations during the chapter discussions.
What else?
Prior Philip did not hesitate to give refuge to the people fleeing Earl's Castle in the winter that our king died.
Is that not a good deed? A true Christian act?
Pues eso.
You do not know him as well as you think you do, Lady.
Ah, porque se sentía culpable por lo del padre.
Today, that will change.
The future master builder of our cathedral and his woman were among those taking refuge. They were living in sin. They were unmarried and fornicating.
Oh, Dios mío.
Philip allowed them to stay.
Why would he do that?
I do not know, my bishop.
Maybe because he himself was involved in similar affairs. We will see.
Then, on the day of our first fleece fair, we were attacked.
I heard. It was terrible.
I tried to soothe the woman's pain by reading the scripture to her. The builder's woman I have spoken of tried to put a spell on her with poisonous herbs.
And Philip intervened.
Yes. He pushed me aside and gave the woman poison.
It is worse than I thought.
It was no poison.
And then there was the day the Virgin Mary's statue arrived in Kingsbridge. I did not believe it was a miracle.
Clearly, it is a miracle. I hear of many who were healed in Kingsbridge.
Yes! Amen! Oh, Mary, bless us all!
Well, I soon realized it was a true miracle, but Philip did not. He was only after the money people donated at the Virgin's shrine. That is why I left.
He had to! Amen!
I believe there is one more thing you have not told us about. Something very important.
Yes. Philip has fathered a child.
Oh, Dios mío, tiene un hijo. ¿Y qué pasa? Bueno, claro, hoy en día da igual.
Him in the priory.
¿Quién? ¿Es hijo de Jonathan? O sea, es padre.
Jonathan of Kingsbridge, step forward.
Anda tú.
This is preposterous.
Is it?
Is this true? Are you Philip's son? Answer the question, Jonathan of Kingsbridge.
I have no father.
Everyone has a father.
That may be. But if Philip was my father, he would have told me.
How do you know he did not lie to you?
Speak.
Philip would never lie. He told me that I was found in the woods.
In the woods. Is this true, Philip? Or are you lying?
Mi hermano lo encontró en el bosque. Lo abandonaron en el bosque.
Told the story so many times.
He was abandoned in the woods.
Tío, no me acuerdo, tío.
Brother found him.
Your brother. Had he not been working for Earl Robert of Gloucester? You have not seen him in a long time now, have you? Let us ask your brother if your stories are true.
¿Está vivo? Uf, está hecho mierda, tío.
Francis, what happened to you?
This is not your fault. He does this to hurt you.
By God.
Francis of Gwyneth. He was arrested more than 15 years ago. He was arrested for conspiring against his own master, Earl Robert.
Remove the prisoner.
Qué gran aportación. ¿Y qué? Maldito Valerian. Waileran, no sé cómo se pronuncia.
Philip told me himself, and I told Earl Robert. For God and the Church cannot take sides in these conflicts. Only one brother has been tried so far, but both of them conspired against Earl Robert.
Tío, no me acuerdo de nada del primer libro.
And his ally, Earl Bartholomew, your father, Lady Aliena. Philip took in all those refugees years ago because he was to blame for their fate, as he was for yours when you lost your father and your earldom. That, Lady Aliena, is the man you are trying to protect. Well?
I know that he is a troubled man. We've all had to make hard decisions. Decisions that seemed right at the time, when indeed they were terrible mistakes. I am thankful that I was forgiven when I made a mistake. Now I forgive him. Let us now return to the problem at hand. There is a man who witnessed how Jonathan was found in the forest. A man who can shed light on who Jonathan's father really is.
And who is that?
My husband.
Step forward. What is your name?
He is the master builder of Kingsbridge.
Is he now?
Have you lost your courage?
No, I have not. You know well why it would be hard for me to face you. They call me Jack, after my father. My name is Jack Jackson.
Yes, we have met before.
How old were you when you allegedly saw Jonathan as a child in the woods?
12. But I know what I saw. Philip told the truth.
You were a child. And what were you doing there, in the woods?
I was living in the forest, with my mother.
They were outlaws.
Sí.
Prior Remigius is the most trustworthy witness we've seen today, and his statement was quite damning to Philip. The distant memories of an outlaw child cannot convince me otherwise.
He fathered a child!
No!
Tenemos el cáliz en nuestro poder.
And yet, Lady Aliena is right. We do not know enough to judge him as harshly as you proposed, Bishop Waileran.
You are right, Bishop Henry. As I said, it is not up to us to judge this man. Philip of Gwyneth has pleaded innocent, but how innocent is he? We ask God for his judgment. As Bishop of Kingsbridge and Shiring, I demand an ordeal by fire.
This is madness!
Philip of Gwyneth will be tried and judged at the stake. If he is innocent, God will save him from the flames. If he is not, then he will burn as the heretic and sinner God has declared him to be.
No! Waileran, by God! Not this time.
It's her.
I saw the child and Francis. I was there. Philip is not the child's father. He is a fool, but he is a good man.
Then who is the father?
Tom Builder.
Ah, claro, es verdad. Que en el primer capítulo murió la mujer de Tom, es verdad.
This woman is a witch and an outlaw, living in sin with a thief. He was hanged in Shiring 30 years ago.
He was not a thief. He was a good man. You've murdered him, Waileran, by God.
What is this nonsense?
He was a thief. He stole a golden chalice and melted it down and sold it.
What chalice?
The chalice of the Eucharist. He stole it from the Cathedral of Kingsbridge.
Sacrilege.
Yes, Friar James of Kingsbridge caught him red-handed.
Vamos al cáliz directamente.
Is that the chalice? You said it was melted down and sold.
Fall not for their lies. That could be any chalice. This does not prove a thing.
Where did you find this chalice?
In a secret chamber. We believe Prior James hid it because he felt guilty for falsely accusing Jack's father.
What proof do you have?
He told me. The night the cathedral burned down, I was there, I saw him.
Prior James died weeks before that.
No, he did not.
Bishop Henry, he speaks the truth.
Order!
Esto está muy interesante, tío.
I will give you until sunset to produce a witness who can prove your accusations against Bishop Waileran. Not just this chalice. If you fail to do this, I will make sure you are tried for defamation. Philip of Gwynedd, you will stay under arrest. The trial recommences at sunset.
We need a witness.
What are you doing there?
I've seen you draw up plans for a cathedral. Maybe we can do something similar to find our witness. Let's see. Your
Veamos.
father.
He looks just like you.
My grandmother said he did.
And Bishop Waileran. What are the connections? Maybe, by exploring them, we can find a witness.
Good idea.
¿Qué vínculos tienen? Básicamente que fue el obispo Percy Hamley y el prior James quienes le condenaron.
Jack's father. If he was still with us, he could be our witness.
Maybe he still can.
No, espérate.
Bishop Waileran is at the center of all this.
Vale.
Mother says Waileran was behind my father's death.
And she said he wasn't alone. There were 3 men responsible for your father's death.
La mujer,
Bishop Waileran,
o sea, la madre de William.
Percy Hamley. Back then he was the sheriff of Shiring. And Prior James of Kingsbridge.
If they were all there, then they were all witnesses.
And only Waileran's still alive.
Hardly a coincidence. Why would these 3 men work together to falsely accuse your father?
Ahí se han colado con el
He was on a
subtítulo.
white ship. No one survived that night. No one lived to tell the story.
Excepto el padre de Jack.
He was the sole survivor.
And then they killed him. But why?
Qué buena pregunta esa.
William Hamley's father,
Sí, eso ya lo sé.
Now, what about Prior James?
My father wanted to go to England. He was the only one who made it when the White Ship sank.
Pero decían que dentro del barco iba la familia real.
Why would Whaler and Percy and James be concerned about the White Ship?
The son and heir of King Henry was on board. So were other possible heirs and other members of the royal household. I heard that Stephen was supposed to be on the ship as well, but became ill. He was the only male heir. The only threats were the king's daughter Maud and her half-brother Earl Robert, and they've been at war ever since.
And your father, Earl Bartholomew. He was a threat. He tried to stop Stephen and paid for that with his life. Maybe my father saw something on the White Ship. Proof that Stephen was involved.
Ostras, entonces es posible que Esteban matase a todos los de su familia, que es lo que dicen los rumores, para quedarse él como rey.
What about the king? And what about the ship?
Stephen always claimed that it had been God's will that he was not on that ship. That he remained as the only male heir.
That wasn't God. I bet Stephen had a hand in the sinking of the ship.
Now imagine what would have happened if he had learned that someone survived. Someone who might have seen what really happened that night.
Entonces se enteró de que el padre deseaba estar vivo.
Responsible for the sinking of the White Ship. Then he may have wanted the only witness of what really happened to disappear.
But he wouldn't have done it himself, of course.
No.
No, habría contratado a estos tres tipos.
Do you think Stephen would have approached Percy directly?
No.
Because of the White Ship? To help him
Yo creo que hablaréis directamente con el obispo Valerian.
I don't think so. I think it's more likely that Waleran contacted Percy. Just like he did when he wanted Percy to arrest my father.
Entonces, rey, el
If the
obispo.
White Ship is involved, then it's likely that Waleran was told by King Stephen to murder your father.
But he was not king back then. Why would Waleran listen to him?
He was promised to become bishop.
Of course.
Remember, Bishop Henry is Stephen's brother, and back then he was already one of the most influential clerics in all of England.
But if Bishop Henry is in on all this, what chance do we have to turn this trial around?
It is a public trial. All we want is for Philip to go free. We find a witness to expose Waleran. Henry would have to play along to appear innocent.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
It's our best shot.
Vale, ¿qué más?
Do you think the king told James to arrest my father?
No. I find it much more likely that James was instructed to frame your father by Waleran, his superior. As Archdeacon, Waleran was much more involved in politics than James would have been.
It's possible that King Stephen asked Waleran to kill Jack's father.
I wonder if my father ever learned why he was killed. If the king is behind all this, what chance do we have to stop Waleran and save Philip?
We must do our best.
Vale, hay algo que me falta.
Percy Hamley was the sheriff of Shiring. Well, he could have ordered your father to be hanged.
But he was arrested and held in Kingsbridge first. Prior James claimed that my father had committed theft.
Entonces el padre con el prior
was
James.
the prior of Kingsbridge.
That's where they say your father stole the chalice, melted it and sold it.
But we know that's not true.
As we found it, Philip recognized the chalice.
But Bishop Henry wants a witness. The chalice isn't enough.
but it's an important lead for us.
Prior James, el único que podría reconocer el cáliz es el obispo.
Philip said that Prior James was an honest man, so perhaps Wayleran forced him to falsely accuse your father.
Maybe.
That might explain why James was guilt-ridden. The monks still tell the stories about how James thought the devil was after him.
James claimed that your father had stolen the chalice and sold it. But instead, James himself hid it in Kingsbridge, in the crypt.
We found his scourge in a bed down there.
That secret chamber is important.
Vale, pues Prior James con la cámara secreta.
Everyone thought Prior James was dead, that he broke into the ice. And now we know he was hidden away.
Why did his monks believe he was dead?
Porque no encontraron el cuerpo.
Told everyone he had found James' rosary by the river. So everyone thought the body had been washed away. They buried an empty casket.
But how is Remigius involved?
Philip told me that Remigius was there when Wayleran made Philip prior. Wayleran and Remigius knew each other.
That explains why Wayleran later made Remigius prior of Shiring.
And Remigius recognized my mother when we arrived in Kingsbridge. He must have been there at the time my father was arrested. I think Remigius knows all about this.
Logro desbloqueado, verdad revelada.
It's possible that Wayleran told Remigius to make Prior James disappear when James began to talk about what they'd done.
When James started talking to the devil.
But for some reason, Remigius hid him away. But Wayleran never knew. Yes, that explains why he really didn't believe you. When you said you had seen James in the fire.
Where James died after all. And Remigius thought no one knew.
We have to find Remigius. He's our witness.
Pues lo tenemos claro.
Hurry. It's getting dark already. The trial will continue soon.
People know you two. You shouldn't walk around shiring like that.
He's right.
I'll go look for him.
All right. Take care of yourself. And Jonathan.
Yes?
We will talk later about what was said today. About Tom.
All right.
Wow, tío, esto se acaba de poner súper mega interesante. Remigius es nuestro testigo. ¿Dónde andará? No lo sé. Gentío en la catedral de Shiring. Pira. Y aquí estamos manejando a Jonathan por primera vez. ¡Wow! Tenemos el alma divina. Lo escribió Philip y ahora lo acusan de herejía. ¡Wow! Bueno, pues descubriremos qué es lo que pasa en el próximo capítulo, gente. Así que ya sabéis, darle like si os ha gustado el vídeo, que ha estado muy emocionante este capítulo. Así que, lo dicho, darle like si os ha gustado el vídeo, suscribiros si lo estáis y nos vemos en el próximo vídeo de los pilares de la tierra. Así que, adiós.